Hey guys, so we are back again with another interesting video on your very own astrology channel, and in this particular video I'll be telling you as to how we shall go about making predictions when the three planets are placed in a single house of your horoscope. So had there been two planets placed in a particular horoscope, then if you are even averagely adroit, or even if you are half skilled with the science of astrology, then after making quite an effort from your side, you might be able to decipher out the results that the conjunction between the two planets can bring into your life, that the conjunction of those two planets placed in a single house can bring into your life. But here the sole purpose why I am making this video, because when the three planets are placed in a single house, it becomes quite an arduous and a Herculean task, which kind of stymies and bewilders you up as to how you shall interpret the conjunction between these three planets, and how you shall decipher that what all events this particular conjunction might bring into your life. So now many of you would be thinking that since in this yoga Sun, Moon and Mars, I am giving the example of this particular yoga in the second house. So many of you might be thinking that since Sun, Moon and Mars are placed in the second house of the horoscope, this yoga will bring this person a lot of name, fame, reputation, glory, stardom, and especially wealth, because second house in our horoscope is related to wealth management. It is from the second house that we see the professions like you being having a career in the banking or the finance industry, or you being a wealth advisor or a financial analyst. So you might be wondering that since these three friendly planets are placed in the sign of Jupiter, which again is a friend to all these three planets. So you might be wondering that the entire combination, three friendly planets placed in a friendly sign and in the second house of wealth, will bring a lot of wealth and prosperity to this person. Well, indeed you are correct, but there are whole new different dimensions to this particular conjunction that we would discuss in this particular video, because herein we don't even have to apply, we don't even have to study that what Sun, Moon and Mars would collectively give results as, but what makes deciphering out the stuff quite difficult is the fact that we got to also take that whenever we interpret a single planetary placement, or the planetary placement of two planets, or the planetary placement wherein three planets are getting conjunct, we got to also take into consideration the lordship of the houses they are ruling. So if Sun is ruling if Sun is the lord of the 11th house in your horoscope and it is sitting in the second house, then it would give entirely different results as compared to a situation wherein Sun might be the lord of the 7th house in your horoscope and placed in the similar second house. So not only we got to decipher out what these planets would individually do in the second house, and then we got to club those energies, but along with that we also have to take into consideration that which houses are these three planets ruling in this particular chart, based on which the results would differ. And you would see how by this episode I would tell you the techniques and how shall we approach such a three planetary conjunction in a step-by-step manner in order to reach to an above 90% accuracy level. So we shall start analyzing it, but before even analyzing the Sun and Moon being placed in the second house, I would if I were to look at this yoga, my eye would first be focused on Mars in the on Mars being placed in the second house. And the reason for that is that Mars in the second house does not perform that well, and I have seen the charts of many an individuals who had Mars in their second house, and these people suffer from the addictions of all sorts, especially the addiction of substance abuse, wherein they might be chain smokers, wherein they might be alcohol addicts, wherein they might be taking narcotics, wherein they might be taking substances that give you a momentarily kick and happiness, wherein they might be taking the substances like marijuana, cannabis, alprazolam, which kind of induce in them that the temporary or the permanent insensibility, and momentarily those antidepressants or those drugs which give you a kick, they take that person from the plane of reality into an entirely different esoteric plane, wherein the sense of reality ceases and you feel exhilarated, exhilarated, and you feel as if you have as if you are becoming a hippie, and you have forgot about all your routine jobs or all the tensions that are there in your life. So such addictions are seen when Mars is placed in the second house. And not only that, the addictions with the substance abuse are seen when Mars is placed in the second house, but the placement of Mars in the second house can also make a person a sex addict, or somebody who is a sex maniac. And other than that, I told you that these people can regularly indulge into the bickering sessions, and they are kind of verbally abusive people. Of course, the results would change now, since the sun and moon are coming in, and of course, and even if you have only a single planet like Mars placed in the second house of your horoscope, the results might differ based upon the fact that if Mars is receiving aspects from the benefics like Jupiter or Venus, then of course the severity of those addictions or the severity of indulging into the defamed professions or becoming a sex addict, obviously those tendencies, those bad tendencies are going to get curtailed down if there are positive influences on the Mars in the second house. But Mars, if placed badly in the second house, can lead to those addictions of the substance abuse. It can also make a person a sex addict or a sex maniac, and these people are verbally abusive. And why this is happening? Now you must always put this question: why in astrology, if you go to understand the real nuances and intricacies of astrology as to why this person is saying that Mars in the second house would indulge into all those bad acts. So, and I'm even saying this because when you bring that word why, when you start questioning things at that particular time, from that particular time, the entire perspective that you have in life changes. Because when you start questioning things, you have your you want to reach to the root cause of the problems. So like you might have read some subject 5 years ago, but since you didn't had an inclination to get to the root cause of that, to get to the root of the subject, or to understand the subject in a fundamental, constitutional and the legitimate manner, there are likely chances that 5 years down the line you may not even remember a single thing about the subject that you had studied 5 years ago. So the questioning thing, when you start questioning things, even if you learn one or two things, those things are etched on your minds forever. So herein I will tell you that why Mars would indulge into all those bad things. Now we go to realize that what is Mars. Well, Mars is one of the most powerful planets in astrology. Mars is symbolic of willpower, courage, intensity. It is the planet who loves adventure, aggression. Who is a planet that can help you bring out of the problems and hurdles that you might come across, because Mars is a planet because Mars is like a hot air balloon who has an aggressive energy. Mars is a planet who is a never say die character. So no matter how doleful, how pragmatic, how bad or how horrendous the situations are in your life, but if Mars is well placed in your horoscope, then he will not let you get bogged down, or he will not bog down your spirit. Instead, he would kind of push you to face those problems head on and emerge as a vainglorious or a victorious soldier like Mars is. So Mars is a very powerful, very intensified and a never say die character, and its placement is of extreme importance in any astrology chart. But what is happening in this case is that Mars doesn't perform. The reason that Mars is indulging in all those addictions is that Mars doesn't perform well in the second house, because second house is the house of wealth management. Second house is the house from where we decide how good are your prudency and the discretionary levels. It is from the second house that we decide that how good are you at the subjects like data interpretation and analytical reasoning. It is from the second house that we decide how good are your analytical and the practical skills, and whether you have the business acumen and the shrewd thinking that is needed to save wealth, or to make or to multiply your wealth. So second house essentially is the house of strategical thinking. Second house is the house wherein we are making the strategies of any kind, and that is why financial analysts, wealth advisors, who tell us who do the permutation and combination, who use all those bar charts, pie charts, or all those SPSS tools, or all those statistical tools. Second house is all about using those mathematical tools, and then carving out a strategy as to how you shall proceed about saving wealth in life. But here we must realize that Mars is a headless planet. Mars doesn't have head. What makes Mars special is that Mars is good at executing the tasks. Mars is not a planet that you would associate with the strategical thinking, or Mars is not a planet who is good with numbers or the data interpretation or the analytical reasoning. Instead, Mars is a planet of aggression, of adventure, who kind of pushes you forward, who kind of unleashes the animal in you and makes you a never say die character. Mars makes you fanatically tenacious. That is, when Mars is strongly placed in your horoscope, you become a lethal force. That is, you would die. That is, if you take up a task, you would either die accomplishing it, but you would not in the pursuit of accomplishing it. You may die, but you would not back up. Mars is that soldier who takes orders from the Sun and Jupiter. Sun and Jupiter are the ministerial planets or the administrative planets in Vedic astrology, and Mars performs good when he takes those orders from Sun or Jupiter, who dictate him that Mars, this is the plan that you got to execute, and this is how you got to pitch your products, this is how you got to deal with the enemies, this is the warfare plan that you shall go about. And then Mars feels activated, as if he is as if he has something to do, as if he has got a medium to vent out the excessive energy that is there in his body. And that's the reason that Mars performs exceptionally well in the third house, in the seventh house, in the 11th house, in the sixth house, and in the 10th house, because the third house, the seventh house, and the 11th house are the houses from which we see that how good are our business networking skills. These are the houses of communication, wherein you are regularly on move, communicating with people, wherein you are regularly on move, pitching your products to the people, or you are marketing yourself so that you may form good connections with the people who might be at the top-notch managerial or the executive positions. So you are trying to strike a deal with those people in order to elevate ahead in life. This is all seen from these three karma houses in our horoscope, that is third house, seventh house, and 11th house. And Mars performs good in the sixth house because sixth house is the house of sixth house is given a defamed status in astrology, but trust me guys, it is wrongly given that status, because sixth house is a house wherein you are working on a total realistic plane. It is directly opposite to the 12th house, directly opposite to the sixth house is the 12th house, wherein the sense of reality ceases, and you are working in the subconscious zone, wherein you are working in a total spiritual or esoteric plane. But sixth house is the house wherein you are working in a total realistic or the materialistic plane. And what happens when you are operating in the day-to-day jobs, or what happens when you are realistic in your life? What all events happen in your life on a day-to-day basis? On a day-to-day basis, you come across hurdles, obstacles, challenges. On the daily basis, you may fall sick, or might be diagnosed with some kind of a disease. It is on the regular basis. If you are one businessman or you are a career oriented person, then occasionally you get into the court cases and litigations. You may get into the problems with your co-workers, or in there might be relationship problems for sure. And this is no big deal, because this is the part and parcel of life, since we are operating in a realistic world. So it is from the sixth house. That is why sixth house is called the house of diseases, court cases and litigations. Sixth house is called the house of hurdles, obstacles, challenges and diseases. And trust me guys, if the sixth house in your horoscope is well placed, then it will solve 50% of the problems in your life, no matter whether the other houses in your horoscope are well placed or not. So such is the importance of sixth house in this modern day Vedic astrology. So when Mars comes into the sixth house, it kind of enjoys this placement, because Mars is a planet of adventure. Mars is a planet which is all about competition, aggression. Mars is a planet which is all about having a sword in his hand, and he's like a person who is dressed up like a gladiator, and he's ready to face any obstacle or hurdle that comes his way. So Mars, the placement of Mars in the second house can actually nullify down the problems in your life to a large extent. And similarly, Mars performs exceptionally well in the 10th house, because 10th house carries the original energy of the Saturn or the Capricorn sign, and Mars gets exalted in the sign of Capricorn. So Mars in the 10th house. Mars in the 10th house is like a form of a yoga. Although this yoga doesn't have a name, but Mars in the 10th house kind of performs exceptionally well, because like the 6th house, 2nd house, 6th house and 10th house are all the houses are all the houses of are all the houses wherein you are working on a very realistic or on a very materialistic plane. That is, you are living in reality. You are not a person who would run away from problems, but these houses show that how good are your business acumen, that how good is your business acumen, how good is your statistical or the analytical skills, or how good are your perseverance and the persistence levels which are needed to leave a mark on the professional arena that you might be working in. And that is why in all these houses Mars performs exceptionally well. And especially now let's suppose if Mars in all these houses is placed with the three planets like Mercury, Sun or Jupiter, then it performs exceptionally well, because Mars is not a planet who can make the strategies or who can do the computational or the practical analysis. Neither Mars is good at making the financial or the marketing strategies. So what basically happens is that when these three planets, Mercury, Sun and Jupiter, are the planets that are blessed with the business acumen skills, that are blessed with intelligence and wisdom, that are blessed with the knowledge of mathematics, numbers, or taking the wise decisions in life. So when these planets get conjunct with Mars, they kind of give the task to Mars, and Mars executes, and Mars then proceeds to execute that task. Mars is not a person, if at all the Sun or the Jupiter or the Mercury assigns the task to Mars. Mars is of the mental orientation that I cannot go back to the Sun or the Jupiter with my head nodding down, and I cannot explain him that sorry Sun, sorry Jupiter, I could not accomplish the task that you had assigned it to me. Instead, Mars is of the orientation that I will fight till that last 1 ml of oxygen is there in my lungs. I will fight till that last 1 ml of blood is running through my veins. And this makes Mars a very important planet. But herein what is happening is, in the second house of the strategical thinking. Second house is not the house wherein you are moving. Second house is the house of the computational and the strategical thinking. Second house is the house which governs the right side of the brain. And if you are one student of biology, then you would know that the rational, practical, logical, computational, statistical, all these form of thinking patterns help they take place in the right side of the brain. Instead, the left side of the brain deals with the subconscious mind, which is represented by the 12th house, but the rational and the prudent and but you being rational, discreet or prudent is seen from how good your second house, 6th house or 10th house is. So what is happening here is that Mars has got no work to do, and this is where he doesn't get a positive outlet to vent out the excessive energy that is there in his body, and that is why Mars becomes verbally abusive here. Or if I were to give you an example, if you are one of those people who are very enthusiastic about the National Geographic or the Discovery channels, then you might on those channels see a person who especially Man versus Wild and the episodes like that. In those particular episodes, you might see that there is a person who kind of represents the traits of Mars, as in when that person is operating in the jungle, he is operating in one of the most horrendous, one of the most dark and one of the most demanding situations wherein your survival instincts are tested. and similar is the task that Mars performs. Mars is all about combating the difficult and the doleful situations in your life. So what happens is that fine enough, in the daytime Mars has job wherein he might be chopping the woods, wherein he might be involved in some kind of war with the enemy that he is fighting a war with. But what happens in the night time? At the night time, Mars has got nothing to do, because Mars is not a planet like Moon or Venus who can indulge into the creative pursuits of life at the night time. Like he cannot indulge in those Venusian or the moon-like professions like writing poetry or listening to music or being indulged in any creative pursuit of life like painting, drawing, or the creative things like that. Neither Mars at the night time has the prudency levels to make the financial or the marketing strategies like Mercury, Sun or Jupiter might be doing. So at the night time, what happens is that when this Mars doesn't have anything to do, his mind is idle, and there is a age-old adage that an empty mind, an idle mind is a devil workshop. So in order to release that excessive energy, Mars indulges into all those intoxications and substance abuse, and Mars indulges into the sex or prostitution kind of thing, because he needs an outlet. For him, indulging in sex in the jungle at the night time, when he has no work by his side to do, he indulges in all those sexual things in order to release out the excessive energy that is there within his body. And moreover, Mars from the second house is aspecting the 8th house, of sex, and it is not from the 7th house that we see how good your sex life is. It is from the 8th house that we see how sexually charged up or how sexually active you are as a person, or how wild you are in bed. So Mars is throwing its 7th aspect on the 8th house. That is why he might indulge into all those addictions like prostitution, or he might become a sex maniac or a sex addict. Moreover, why this Mars becomes verbally abusive is because Mars in astrology has the 1st aspect, the 4th aspect, the 7th aspect, and the 8th aspect. So what is happening is that Mars from the 2nd house is throwing its aspect on the throwing on its aspect on the 5th house, and 5th house is the house of the king. So here Mars does not realize that just dressing up like a gladiator or wearing the ornaments or the jewelry like a king doesn't make him an actual king. Mars doesn't realize that not only is the king powerful, not only is the king powerful, and not only the king is at the top-notch position in the administrative circle, but he is also blessed. But he, the sun, is also blessed with the rarest blend of 5 qualities like power, persona, wisdom, intelligence, luck, and that is why people in the kingdom know that sun is a figure. That sun is a figure who is not only powerful, and he is not only the figure who has got the final say in the decision making. Not only he is the figure who has the full right to put any law into promulgation, but at the same time they know that deep within, sun is the most positive form of energy. Sun is also designated as a savior in Vedic astrology. So they know that whatever decision the sun takes would be in the best interests of the people that are living in his kingdom. But here Mars doesn't realize that he is nowhere close to where the sun is, but he demands respect from the people in the kingdom to treat him like a king. He is of the mental orientation like I am a king, so you got to pay me homage, you got to pay me respect and reverence in the similar way as you pay the homage and respect to the king. And moreover, other than that, what is happening is that Mars is throwing its 8th aspect on the 9th house, and 8th aspect of the Mars is kind of very difficult to deal with, because 8th aspect of Mars kind of is Scorpion in nature. So when Mars is throwing its 8th aspect on the 9th house, 9th house is the house of belief system, philosophy, your higher learning. So ninth house doesn't exactly indicate that, many of the people associate the ninth house with the higher studies at the university, fortune and luck. Of course, ninth house stands for all that. But other than that, this ninth house can be very chaotic also, because it is the house that deals with how strong our belief system and philosophy in life is. And here, when Mars is aspecting the ninth house with its 8th aspect, he kind of becomes very stubborn, very rigid with his philosophy, with whatever his philosophy is. He's kind of very emotionally attached to that philosophy. He's kind of becoming very fanatically tenacious about whatsoever might be his belief system. So here, Mars in the second house of the ancestors, he becomes very glued to his ancestral customs. He upholds the teachings of his fathers, or the teachings of his ancestors, or his ancestral land, or the people, or the traditions, festivals, or the people associated with the ancestral land. He upholds those values in a very high regard. You can say that he kind of becomes very dogmatic and conservative in his philosophy. So he is of the orientation that you got to be, that you got to follow the ancestral traditions, and I don't care whether those ancestral traditions are good or not, but I will make sure that the people who I am dealing with follow the ancestral customs for sure. He is not of the orientation that with time, many of those things that were prevalent in the olden times, I don't deny that they were bad, but they might have been good at that time. But many of those ancestral traditions no longer hold their relevance when we apply those similar ancestral theories in the modern day age and era. But Mars is very stubborn and rigid with his philosophy, that he is not ready to make any amendments in his behavior. So these are the people who may have Mars in the second house in bad dignity. These are the people who may indulge into things like honor killings. Honor killing, I can explain you that it is prevalent in many of the remote parts in India, wherein if a person marries the girl of the other caste, or the girl marries the boy of the other caste, then what happens is that this person who might be having the Mars in the second house, he might indulge into honor killing and might take away the life of his son or daughter who married somebody out of his caste or religion. You might be finding it bizarre, but this is but the placement of Mars in the second house makes this person very rigid. So he might shun tears, after butchering down his son or girl, but he is so glued to his ancestral customs that for him it's like a lifetime. It's like oxygen. It's like oxygen. Like oxygen is important for us to live. Similarly, holding on to those ancestral customs and traditions and all those dogmatic practices is like kind of very inherent, and Mars is very emotional about that. Similarly, I was reading an article wherein in certain parts of Africa, when the girl child is born, the clitoris of the girl child is amputated or is cut off, because those ancestral people, those tribal people, or those ancestral people in those remote African regions, they are of the view that women are not meant to enjoy sex. Instead, it is only the right of men. Now you as a fellow American, or you as somebody belonging to a developed nation, might find such a fanatically tenacious behavior of Mars very erratic and very inhuman in nature. But this is how these people with the Mars in the second house behave. Or some of those people who have Mars in the second house, they cut down the head of the animal and present it to the ancestral deity, because it's been an age-old tradition that if you cut down the head of an animal and present it to your ancestral deity, your ancestral deity is going to bestow onto you a lot of happiness, and is going to take away all the miseries and sorrow of your life. And indulging into butchering animals, or killing down your sons and daughters, or cutting the clitoris of the newborn girl child, this is one of the most inhuman, one of the most horrendous, one of the most flimsy acts. But Mars cannot help it. But now, since Mars is coming in conjunction with Sun and Moon, the entire thing would change. So let us analyze that what kind of energies would Sun and Moon bring into the life of this person. Now you must analyze that the Sun and Saturn yoga. Now we are analyzing not the three planets. We are analyzing only the combination or the conjunction yoga that is taking place between the Sun and the Moon, placed in the second house. So Sun is the lord of the 10th house here, since 5 is written here. So Sun is the lord of the 10th house, placed in the second house, and Moon is the lord of the 9th house, placed in the second house. So what happens is that whenever there is any relation between the 9th house lord and the 10th house lord, then a dharma karmadipati yoga is said to happen in your chart. Now I have made a separate episode on the dharma karmadipati yoga, which you can later see after you are done with this episode. But what essentially this yoga does is that at some point or the other in their life, these people who have the dharma karmadipati yoga in their horoscope, these people turn out to be religious gurus, masters, philosophical thinkers, social thinkers, or they might be into professions wherein they might be teaching astrology to the world, wherein they might be doing something in order to elevate the universe to a higher level of self-awareness or self-consciousness, wherein they might be indulging into any of those careers wherein they can help the downtrodden or needy, or wherein they can extend their help to whosoever person in whatsoever manner they can. So Sun, since it is the lord of the 10th house, and since Sun is the lord of the 10th house, and since Sun is associated with politics and holding the ranks like CEO, or holding the ranks like CMO, CFOs, or the top-notch managerial and the executive positions in the MNC that you might be working for. And Moon is a planet which is all about bestowing onto others one of the most purest, esoteric, divine, mystic love in the world. That the similar kind of love that the mother showers onto his child is represented by the planet Moon. So what is happening in this horoscope, that not only Sun and Moon are forming a very positive, very powerful dharma karmadipati yoga, but he would be a man of integrity, morality, principle, and he would and even if he is not into any of those professions wherein he might be teaching astrology, spirituality, meditation, or any kind of a subject of religious importance, even if he is not doing that, he can be a politician. He can be a politician who might be who might be a man of character, who might not give in to bribe, and neither would he indulge in the extortion, swindling, or fleecing of any sort. He would be a man of principles. So such a sun moon yoga could make a man, could make this person go into politics, as in he might be associated with the ministry of real estate, since real estate is represented by moon in Vedic astrology. Or he could be associated with the home ministry, since moon represents not only your mother but it also represents the people of your homeland. Or in the sun and moon combination could show somebody who is a big time business tycoon, and who has a lot of charitable instincts, who is very benevolent, who is very charitable in his outlook towards life. So he might be one person who might have a lot of money, and he might open the universities, since moon is the lord of the ninth house. And as I told you that it is from the ninth house that we see the higher learning at the universities. So this sun and moon yoga might show a big time business tycoon who might start up a university wherein the women are offered the free education, wherein they might be offered the free education, primarily the vocational. They might be given the free access to the vocational courses, because this man of the orientation that the mothers or the women community, which is represented by moon, needs to be elevated like the men community in the society is. So he might open a university which might be offering the free education to the mothers or to any female in the community. Or he might open a chain of hospitals wherein he might declare that this hospital will be offering the free treatment to the pregnant mothers or to the newborns. So basically, whatsoever business this sun and moon yoga, even if he is not into politics or is not into opening of universities, he could be one person who might hold great respect for women, and he might be a person who might have more women at the managerial ranks in his organization as compared to men, or at least he would not indulge into gender biasing of any sort. So this is the positive effects that sun is bringing into the life of this person. Now guys, since we have deciphered what Mars will individually do had it been placed alone in the house, and we have analyzed what the conjunction between sun and moon is doing here, now we will club all the energies that these three planets are collectively bringing into the second house. So what can we make out of it? Now what will happen is that Mars is a soldier who always listens to the sun, because sun is the person who is at the top-notch position. He is at the person who holds the top-notch administrative rank, and he's on the throne. Moreover, sun is a hot ball of heat around which all of the planets in the solar system revolve. So every planet that is there in astrology considers sun as a leader and listens to the sun. So what would happen is that here the positive influence of this dharma karmadhipati yoga happening between sun and moon would influence Mars and instead channelize the aggression of Mars, or use the aggressive energy of Mars in a very positive manner. So herein what will happen is that Mars will take orders from Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon will tell this Mars that you got to be engaged in professions wherein you might be serving the women community, wherein you might be serving the women community, wherein you might be wherein you might be indulging into any profession wherein you can help the people of the homeland, or you can uplift the women race in one manner or the other. And Mars will obey the orders of the Sun and the Moon, but now Mars will not entirely lose its character, because obviously everything in astrology is nothing is getting subtracted, everything is getting added in astrology. This is a rule. So what will happen is that Mars now will become very emotional about the mothers in the society, very emotional about the female community in the society. He would uphold any of the values related to the ancestral land, or he might be attached to uplifting the people of the homeland, or he might fight for the or he might even lay down his life for the people of his homeland. So he will take the orders from Sun and Moon, but at the same time he will bring his own idiosyncratics or the idiosyncratic traits that are peculiar to Mars. So he will carry out the orders that he has received from Sun and Moon, but he will do that. He will do those tasks by bringing in his own peculiar attributes. So what are the professions that this person now might land up into? From this particular combination, now what can happen is that Mars will not be fanatically tenacious now. Neither he would indulge into intoxications, nor he would be a sex maniac or a sex addict. Instead, now he would use the now you can say that now it's like for a momentarily basis, Sun and Moon have give their prudency and the discretionary levels to Mars. So Mars will use its energy and vent out its energy in serving the homeland or in serving the mothers. So herein we can see a person who is a freedom fighter. So he might be a person like Bhagat Singh, or he might be a person like Martin Luther King, or he might be a person of the Gandhian origin. That will all depend upon which planet is strong out of Sun and Mars. Now if Mars is more strongly placed in the second house, then he might resort to those non-violent he might resort to non-violence, or he might be a little fanatically driven. That is, he might be of the orientation that I cannot see my homeland being captured over by some kind of a foreign force. Mars is now very emotionally charged up. So for him, it's not a issue wherein a foreign nation has trespassed the geographical territories, or has indulged into the geographical infringement or trespassing of any sort. In fact, when a foreign force has captured over whenever a foreign force has captured over the homeland, Mars, it's kind of a similar scene for Mars, wherein he's standing and he is seeing his sister or his mother being publicly insulted, and this is not acceptable to Mars. So Mars would enrage in order to throw away the colonial or the imperial rule of the foreign force, he can go to extremes. He can possibly do anything. He can, even as a teenager, lay down his life fighting for his country. Now, if you analyze it on a very philosophical perspective, it's kind of a similar situation which happened with Bhagat Singh in India. So what Bhagat Singh, like Marx did was that Bhagat Singh was not exactly a person who resorted entirely to the non-violent means. Yet he was a man of character as well. He was one of the most influential revolutionaries in the Indian independence movement, and he went on a hunger strike for 116 days in the jail, wherein he wanted the prison authorities to give the similar treatment to the Indian prisoners as compared to the prisoners who were of the British nationality. So can you see, he was sort of violent in nature, but at that same time he went on that 116 days fast, which is the longest fast ever undertaken by any revolutionary in the history of mankind. And even he died at the age of 23. When we are indulging into fun and frolic in the college, he was a man who was hanged at the age of 23. And you can Google his name, BHAGAT, Bhagat Singh, and it will be worth investing time reading about this revolutionary who I am myself kind of very inspired by. Or if Sun is more strongly placed as compared to Mars, then he would be a person of the Gandhian origin, or a person like Martin Luther King. So he might, like Gandhiji did not resort to those violent means. Instead, Gandhiji patronized a campaign, or spearheaded a campaign, and he started the non-cooperation movement. So Gandhiji was of the mental orientation that a brick for a stone, or tit for tat, or an eye for an eye is not the approach that will help us in getting the freedom or throwing away the foreign rule that has taken over us. Instead, he was of the opinion that we as Indians are divided into states, and not only we are divided into states, we as Indians are ourselves divided in the name of caste, creed, color, sect, and philosophy. So he addressed the nation that if we got to erase all those boundaries that are keeping us apart, and if we unite as a nation, then we would have to put in a very little effort, and by that kind of a non-cooperation shown to the foreign force, it's gonna make our task very easy to achieve independence. And not only did Mahatma Gandhi did all those Dandi March or participated in the non-cooperation movement, but he even in fact he addressed the whole nation and besieged or implored the women community to shun or to abstain from any of the clothing or the accessories that were manufactured by the foreign forces at that time. So he was of the orientation that when you will show your non-cooperation for the foreign rule that has taken over you, it's gonna become very difficult for the foreign force to rule over you. So he was of that mental orientation. So this particular combination could show a freedom fighter, then this particular combination could show a public speaker. This second house controls controls the right side of the head, the face, and the throat region. So public speakers are also seen from the second house. So he might be a public speaker who might who would speak with such a dynamic and with such a powerful and magnetic aura, like the sun has, that when you would listen to him, when you would listen to his patriotic talks, and when you would listen to his belief systems and philosophy, higher the chances that you would develop that you would have goose flesh on your skin at that time, and it's gonna trigger in you a love for your nation, and you will be all out in his support, or you will make all the efforts that you can do from your side to help eradicate the foreign forces or the colonial forces from your country. So he can be a public speaker. He can be a very influential public speaker who holds the women welfare or the welfare of the people of the homeland in high regards. Then what else? Since Mars here is the ruler of the 6th house, and 6th house Mars always carries some kind of aggression, some kind of aggression, or some kind of a never say die character with it. So he instead of resorting to those violent measures, what he can do is that he might be associated with the defense ministry as well. Instead of being a member of the home ministry, instead of serving the nation as a home minister, as this sun and moon yoga would do, now what is happening is that sun and moon are giving some sort of a logical and practical thinking to Mars. So he, as a member of the defense ministry, would be making the military strategies as to how to throw away the foreign rule, yet in a very soft, sophisticated, and in a very dignified manner. So this is these are the things that you can see from this combination. Other than that, this person, since second house is also the house of agriculture, irrigation, and all those ancestral professions, and Mars is aspecting the 8th house, and it is from the 8th house that we see the things that are buried underground, or even the manufacturing of machines is seen from the 8th house, and Mars itself is a planet that is associated with the manufacturing of machines. So he might be into the manufacturing of equipments that would aid a farmer in agriculture, or or irrigation. So he might be into the manufacturing of tractors that are used in plowing the fields, or he might be into the manufacturing of the submersible water pumps. That is the things that are found deep beneath the earth, as seen from the 8th house. So he might be into the manufacturing of the submersible water pumps that are used in the irrigation business in order to water the fields. Then what else? This person could be into the manufacturing of chemicals, especially herbicides, insecticides, pesticides, that can be used for the farmers. So he might be of the origin that I shall do something that might pull the poor farmers out of the shackles of poverty that they are stuck in. So in case there is no rainfall, or there is excessive rainfall, it is the farmer who usually suffers. So he would indulge into manufacturing the materials, manufacturing the chemicals that can be used to prevent any major loss to the crop that the farmer is growing. Other than that, this person could be into the Ministry of Agriculture. So he might extend all his support to the to the farmers, to the people of his ancestral land, so that they can, since agriculture is an age-old profession, so his way of serving the nation or his way of serving the people of his own homeland is by bringing such laws into promulgation, bringing the new laws related to agriculture into promulgation that will help the people of his homeland come out of the shackles of poverty. So essentially what happens in the Indian villages is that the poor farmer grows the crops, he sells it to the middlemen, who is kind of a very shrewd, malicious and a very cunning person. So this illiterate farmer used to sell his crops, let's suppose at $2 per kg. Just arbitrarily suppose he is selling his products to the middleman in the village at $2 per kg, and this middleman would sell the product, would sell that crop in the city at $14, making a hefty profit of $12, thereby looting the farmer. He might actually tell the farmer that I am purchasing the wheat or the rice from you at $2, and I am going to further sell it in the city for only $3 or $4. But now what is happening is that recently in India e-chopals have come up. So e-chopals is a medium wherein a center is established in each of the villages, and a person who is a computer literate is stationed in that center, and the farmer can straight away go to this e-chopal. Wherein he can ask that person to tell him the exact price that is offered by the customer in the city. So instead of being looted by the middlemen, the farmer would be in a state wherein he can sell his products not at $2, but he can directly sell his products at $14 to this person in the city, or he would be in a better state of negotiation with the middleman and might charge the middleman $10 instead of $2, which was earlier happening with this illiterate farmer. So he might be one agricultural minister who might bring such revolutionary laws into promulgation in order to aid the people of his homeland, or in order to pull out the farmers from the shackles of poverty. Then what else? Since Mars is a planet, since Mars is ruling the 6th house, and I told you that doctors and diseases of all sorts are seen from the 6th house and the 8th house in the horoscope, and Mars here is the ruler of the 6th house and is aspecting the 8th house. So what might happen is that this person might be into the manufacturing of hearing aids for the old mothers, or for the old old members of the female community who might be suffering from the hearing disorders, or he might be manufacturing some kind of a medicine that is used to cure the ailments related to eye, since 2nd house represents the entire face and the throat region. Or what else? He might be into the manufacturing of the artificial oxygen masks that might come in handy for the aged female community. Or since 8th house is not only the house of diseases, chronic diseases, but when Mars aspects the 8th house, there are high chances that this person becomes a doctor or somebody who is expert at performing the surgical procedures. So this similar Mars in this case could turn out to be a doctor, especially he could be an ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist is a particular branch of medicine that deals with the ailments of the eye, or he could be a ENT specialist. ENT specialist is a branch of medicine that deals with the particular disorders that are related to ear, nose and throat. That is why the term ENT specialist is used for it. So he might be that ENT specialist. Since all these three things are are governed by the second house in the horoscope, or he might be into the manufacturing of, or this similar person might be into the manufacturing of the chemical products like the anti-aging products or the cosmetics. So he might be of a modern orientation as well, and his foray to help the, or his constitution or orientation to help the female community, or to help the old mothers, or to help the female community in some form or the other, is by providing them some kind of the cosmetics that can be used to enhance their beauty, or anti-aging cosmetic, or anti-aging products, or something like that. What else other than that can we see from this placement? From this placement, we can see the jobs related to the insurance industry, not exactly the banking industry, but the insurance industry, because Mars rules the 6th house of diseases and the 8th house of chronic illnesses, and 8th house is also the house of death and rebirth, and Mars is placed into the 2nd house, from which we see the wealth advisors, financial analysts, and the things like that. So Mars can offer this person, so Mars can be into any department wherein he might be selling the health insurance related to, since it is the lord of the 6th house of diseases, or he might be selling the life insurance since 8th house is a house of death and rebirth, or in he might be a person who might be associated with the stem cell banking. Stem cell banking is the modern day banking. You can research for this term, and trust me, it's like many of the people in Canada, or in Canada, US, or any of the developed nations are pursuing stem cell banking as their career big time. So he might be into selling into the banking jobs that are related with the health kind of issues, since health insurance, then it could be the life insurance, then it could be the stem cell insurance, which is again related to the medical field. Then he could be a person who might also provide loans to the people of his homeland at the affordable prices, because he might be of the view that at least each of the people living in my country deserves a shelter over his head. So he might issue instead of the other banks which might be issuing the home loans at the higher rates of interest, or might ask the villagers to place a piece of their property as a mortgage on mortgage. He might issue the loans to the poor people at the affordable prices, and he would not even confiscate the property of the poor farmer in case he is not able to repay the debt. So such can be the benevolent tendencies that this particular 3 planetary conjunction can bring. Other than that, he can be a landlord. Now Mars is representative of the landlords, because in the traditional forms, and even the system is still existent in India, wherein landlords are the powerful figures who give their money to lease to the farmer community, or who give their money to people, or who give their land to the farmers for irrigation, and they charge only a bare minimum amount for them. So he can be one landlord who might be very rich, and might be of the constitution that every villager in my village deserves a home, no matter how small it is. And guys, other than that, from this particular conjunction, we can see the influential figures like landlords or the sahukars, which are the prominent figures in the villages, might be their source of income is that either they might give their land to the farmers farmers for the irrigation or the plowing purposes at the affordable rates of interest. Or what might happen is that this might be one individual who might be a very rich man, who might be making his income through the animals. Yes, you might be finding it bizarre, but there are many people in the Indian villages. Yes, they may not be as sophisticated as we people who are living in the modern cities are, but those people living in the Indian villages own acres of land, and these people are millionaires and billionaires, these landlords and sahukars, and majority of their income, majority of their money either comes from the money lending business or from the animals. So whether they might give their animals on lease to any person who might need those animals for the transportation purposes, or they might themselves invest in animals. Which come in very handy while plowing the fields. Or he might be one big time rich man, a landlord, who might be making money by indulging into the poultry business. So, but that sense of doing something for the society would always be there within him. So nowadays, what's happening in India, that many of the villagers are getting educated and they are migrating to the city, since there are lesser opportunities for them in the remote areas. So this landlord might start up a factory unit, or might open up a poultry farm in the village, so that the people in the village might not have to migrate, might not have to leave their village and go to the city, wherein they might have to struggle hard to search for jobs. So this can be the thing. And lastly, with this this person could be making money out of animals, because whenever we see that a person is making money through animals, whether by selling the animal products, or he might be using the fur of the animals that is used in the leather industry or something like that. The three houses that we take into consideration are the 6th house, are the 8th house, and the second house, because second house is the house of ancestral traditions and ancestral businesses, and making money through the animal business was a part of the ancestral community. And then any of the things related to the animals is also related to the 6th house and the 8th house. Whether he might be a doctor who might be performing the operations on the animals, or he might be into the manufacturing of any products wherein you use some kind of a fur that you extract from the animals, or you might use certain things that are derived from the animals in manufacturing the medicines. And 8th house is a house of sudden ups and downs, dealing with the chaotic, turbulent, and dealing with situations that a normal person would not like to get stuck up in. And animals, of course, they can be tamed, but you are never sure that when a particular animal is gonna go violent. And that is why the 8th house, which involves dealing with the chaotic and the life-threatening situations, that is why it is the 8th house is always that is why 8th house always has some kind of a connection whenever income through the animals is seen. And Mars from here is the lord of the 6th house and is aspecting the 8th house. Other than that, this particular combination could show you a person like Baba Ramdev. I am writing his name. You can Google about him, and he is one of those gurus who has got the international fame and is and is revitalizing the science of Ayurveda. So he is of the orientation that that we have become slaves to the allopathic medicines for long, and it's the high time that we go back. That we go back and start believing in the ancients and in the ancient medical science that was bestowed onto us, or that was given to us by the Indian rishis or the siddhis. And he is of the opinion that the level of sophistication that was achieved by those Indian rishis is still insurmountable and is still invincible. And he is also a person who has made huge contributions in the field of politics, wherein he has spearheaded campaigns of the nationwide, that are of the nationwide importance, especially campaigns that deal with pulling the farmers out of the shackles of poverty, or setting up the Ayurvedic research centers in order to take the knowledge of Ayurveda onto an altogether different international level. He has opened many research centers, and Bharatiya and Patanjali Vidyapeeth is one such center that is known to cure diseases that might be termed as incurable by one of the most profound and one of the most famous doctors in the world. So that element of serving the nation is also seen in Baba Ramdev that I talked of. So such are the professions. Now, depending upon which country you live in. Now I gave the examples of Gandhi, the Martin Luther King, Baba Ramdev, and all those professions and all those ancestral professions that existed in India. So if you are a US national, or you are a UK national, or you are a person from the Canadian origin, you can apply the similar principles that I taught of. You can apply the similar principles to the ancestral professions that existed in your country if you want to reach to that 90% accurate analysis. Now the other thing, now had this Sun Moon Mars yoga been placed in the 8th house, then what? Had this similar yoga present in the 8th house, then instead of indulging into all these professions, likely would be the chances that this person could be a surgeon, because the surgeons are seen from the 8th house in our horoscope, and Mars is itself the house ruling the house of diseases. So the chances of becoming a surgeon here is very favorable, and he might be one person who might be expert at or might be dealing in the surgeries, especially related to the breast cancer or the female genital organs, because that is one way by which he can serve the mothers or the female community. Other than that, when this particular combination is present in the 8th house, this similar person could be manufacturing the anti-pregnancy pills, or the pills that aid in the women pregnancy, or the adult diapers, or any of those things that can be helpful in eradicating the sexual problems in the feminine body. So now you might be asking me that why wasn't he manufacturing those adult diapers, or all those anti-pregnancy pills, or all those sexual products for women when it was placed in the 2nd house? It was because although Mars was aspecting the 2nd house, and it will from the 2nd house make use of the things of the 8th house, but only those things that have anything to do with the 2nd house. So like Mars in the 2nd house made use of the chemicals of the 8th house in order to manufacture the insecticides insecticides, pesticides, herbicides that are used in the agricultural land, which is represented by the second house. Similarly, he made use of the surgical procedures that are seen from the 8th house in order to perform the operations on the eyes, or being an ENT specialist. Similarly, he might be using the things of the 8th house, that is the chemicals, in order to manufacture the anti-aging cosmetics for the women community. So these are the possible professions that this particular combination of Sun, Moon, and Mars, or this particular yoga, conjunction yoga formed between the 3 planets. These are the results that I told you can happen in the life of the person in whose chart Sun, Moon, and Mars are present in the 6th house, are present in the if present in the 2nd house. And one more thing that I missed on was that if placed in the 8th house, this person could also be the person who might be the brainchild behind the defense technology of the country. He could be the person who might be associated with the organizations like Indian Space and Research Organization, or Indian Defense Organization, or he might be the brainchild behind the nuclear weapons, because he is of the orientation. Now that similar love for the homeland exists, now by manufacturing the nuclear weapons, he is not going to bomb the other nations, but he is of the orientation that if my nation has the nuclear bombs, then rare are the chances that any other nation can think of conquering over us. So because if any of your enemy nations that is planning to take over your country knows that you have the nuclear weapons, then that enemy nations knows that if they destroy the other nation, then they are themselves gonna get destroyed as well, and nobody wants to be a part of the deal wherein both the parties are at the losing end. So one such profession related to being associated with the atomic energy or the nuclear weapons can also be seen had this combination been present in the 8th house. So guys, this was it from my side, and I know it was a very, very long episode, but if you have reached so far, then I would assess that you are one of my very loyal followers. So in case you like me for one reason or the other, please do press the like button on my channel, spread the knowledge of the astrology to the rest of the world, and keep feeding the poor animals, keep helping the needy people who are around you, and just pray to the Almighty, because when the things are not in your hand and the planets in your charts are screwed, and you leave everything on that soul master who who has created this universe, then all the negative or the malefic effects of these planets, they won't get neutralized, but at least they would get curtailed down to a certain extent. So guys, just share and like my videos.